Hello, folks, and welcome to this wonderful edition of Tech Ally Sessions. I'm Susanna Daniels, and I am filling in for the wonderful Stacy, who's homesick. Get well, Stace, and please send her a message on Twitter or any other social media where you can find Stacy and wish her well. So if I press any wrong buttons, I'm sorry on beforehand, but I'm trying here. It was not hard to say yes because there are two wonderful sessions today, and I am really enjoying being here. For you, please interact with the presenters through the chat and keep it nice and respectful. There is a code of conduct at the top of the website. Like I said, we have a wonderful edition today with two amazing speakers. We have Rory Predilator talking about harnessing OpenAI to help millions. There's bound to be some ChatGPT in there, I'd assume. So I'm really curious what Rory has to say. But first, I want to welcome Anuradha Kumari. And she's going to talk about decoding web accessibility through testing. And I am going to welcome you. Hello, there you are. I pressed the right button. So this looks
Yay. Hi, Susanna. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. So why is my phone going off? I don't know. Siri, shut up. So you are a front-end consultant at Passionate People. You are GDE, MVP, and MDE.
Yeah.
You're busy.
I just do these and it's kind of a passion to share knowledge and my experience around accessibility. So yeah, it makes me feel better as well and motivated.
So what got you into being an accessibility advocate?
So actually, when I started, I did not know anything about accessibility. So for like my 5 or 6 years, I was coding without knowing about accessibility. So I still feel guilty that whatever I would have coded, they might not be accessible. But once there's this event which happens every year, GAD, Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So somehow I saw on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I saw, and when I read about it, I saw some sessions, and I read about it, and I was like, this is so important. Why did I not know about it? So then I talked to my colleagues and friends, and like either people didn't know about it, or even if they knew about it, it was very less, like, yeah, blind people use it and so on, like a very limited knowledge about it. So I was like, okay, let me explore. So that's how I started exploring. And then since I saw that people were not quite aware, so I started talking about it. And for my first talk, it was a very basic about accessibility talk, and I was very scared that people will know about it and they will be like, what is she talking, that's so basic. But when I went and I talked about it, like everyone, like they were like, that is so informative, we did not know about it. So that got me motivated that, okay, I mean, that will do good, because the thing which I say is that awareness is very important. So once you are aware of something, then you can start diving into it even yourself, right? So that first step is knowing about something before we can do something about it. So I started speaking and like writing blogs and stuff about it. And yeah, so still now, after my talks and all, people message me that they learn something new, and that's like, that keeps me motivated that whatever I am doing is benefiting, right? Like and this is for good. People like, websites should be accessible so that every user can use it, and like, yeah, regardless of their disabilities. So this is a very important factor, and I'm glad that I'm able to contribute even in a small way. So yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly, we don't know what we don't know. Exactly, it's true.
So I'm so happy that you're here today to share a bit of your knowledge, which is I hear extensive. So yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll share my screen. Okay. Okay. I am not able to share the screen. I think I will have to restart. It says me to. Uh, sorry. It happens like so often.
Yeah, it's just before I joined the started the live stream. My camera was working. I tested everything, and then I pressed go live, and I changed my audio device, and then suddenly I had to give permissions for my camera again. So that's why it took a few minutes. If you need to restart, that's totally fine. Or
Same happened with me. So I did a camera thingy, and I was like, okay, now everything is working. It should be fine. And I'm not able to find. It should be screen sharing, right? Like I do it way often, and still like, no, it is local network. I think I'm doing something wrong. Okay, wait, let me just. Screen recording. Okay. Yeah, I think I will restart and come back. It will go off by default.
that's totally fine. What we can do, if you fix the challenges which are currently presenting, we could also probably switch to Rory and do his talk first. Not if that's true, Rory.
Or it's
Okay.
just give me 2 minutes and let's see. If I don't join back, then yeah, we can go ahead with Rory.
Ooh, that's exciting. This is live, people.
What happened? I tell them to okay.
Good. So while it is just us for a few minutes, I want to tell you that on our beautiful website, where you are maybe watching or are not watching, you can find all the recordings that have been made over the past time. For instance, the Tech Ally Summit. It contains a lot of wonderful sessions. If you ever are like, oh, well, I need to do something, I need to relax, I want to put something good on. There's a lot of interesting sessions that were there and were broadcasted from the studio. And it's a very, very great way to get up to speed around accessibility, anything that is worth knowing. Because what you don't know is what you don't know. I see that Anuradha is back. Hey.
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just because all the tabs are closed, so I am just opening and I just opened one and let me first share. If I'm able to share, then I will go ahead. Uh, Entire screen, screen to share. I think yes. Okay, so it worked. Yippee. So let me just open my presentation.
Okay, first, breathe slowly. You succeeded.
Yes.
Take a moment. The people who are watching aren't going anywhere.
Thank you. I'm like, Mac does it so often. Like, oh my God.
This needs to happen sometimes. This needs to happen. You can't forecome that during life things go wrong, and it's good that things go wrong, and you fixed it. So yeah, well done under this stress. There you go, and enjoy your presentation.
Thank you. So yes, hi everyone. Thank you for the patience. But yeah, this is my slide, and as Susanna gave a very nice introduction, also I'm going to talk about decoding web accessibility through testing. So let's get started. We already did the introduction, so I wouldn't spend much time here. But if you would like to get connected with me, so you can connect me on LinkedIn at Anuradha15 or on Twitter. My Twitter ID is miracle_404. So, the topics which we are going to discuss today, we will start with a brief introduction of what is accessibility, why is it important, and then we will go to our main focus, like how to test for accessibility. And this is all from a developer perspective. As a developer, how can you test your websites and applications for accessibility? And I will share some tools and some tips using which we can test for accessibility. So, before we start, if you would like access to the slides beforehand, you can either scan the QR code or go to the URL or tinyurl.com/, test hyphen A11y, and you should be able to get these slides. So let's get started. What is accessibility, or A11y? So, and 11 is the acronym here. You might know, but still, for I don't know if someone knows or not, but 11 here, 11 refers to number of letters between accessibility. So in short, I might use accessibility, or I might say alley going forward in the talk. And a sweet and short description of accessibility is making resources and services usable by everyone, regardless of their disabilities. And why is accessibility important? Like, why are we talking about it? Why do we talk about it? It is important because whatever we build, we are building it for our users, right? Like, someone consumes our products and services, we build for the users. But users can be very diverse. They can have different abilities, they can have different disabilities, which we might not be aware of. So for example, whenever we build something, what we do most of the times, like I have been guilty of doing this in the start when I was not aware of accessibility. I would create something, I would go, because I use mouse normally, so I will just use mouse to test things. Click, click, submit, click, click, yeah, it works, right? So I'm like, okay, my whatever I'm creating works, and ship, right? So that's why I created this talk. The motive of the talk is to know that how different users can use the web, so that we are more mindful when we are testing it. And we test it in different ways to ensure that people using different kinds of assistive technologies, they can still use the web and use the services. So, as per World Health Organization, around 15% of world's population lives with some form of disability, and this translates to 1 billion. I would say it's more than 1 billion, maybe. But yeah, so that's the statistics. And there are different types of disabilities, and like broadly categorized into visual, auditory, motor, cognitive. There is one design documentation which I really like. It's by Microsoft Inclusive Design. So if you go ahead and read it, it provides a very nice information about how can we make the products and services inclusive. And it gives, okay, my anyways, no. My picture is a bit over the image, but so in Microsoft Inclusive Design, they have a categorization of disabilities. So did I do something? Thank you. But I think the screen will go up, or maybe the previous one was okay, Susanna, because this is just one slide. Yeah, I will just move forward. Thank you so much. So yeah, so it's categorized further into permanent, temporary, and situational. So if we take example of disability, of sight disability, so someone who is blind, they might have permanent disability. Someone might have got some infection or like some cataract or something like that, and they are not able to see for some amount of time until that get treated. So that could be called as temporary disability. Then let's say I'm trying to maybe navigate map on, like I'm somewhere out, it's summer, the sun is shining bright, and I'm trying to check a place where to go. And due to maybe a bad contrast, I am not able to read properly my screen. So again, I am disabled by not proper contrast on that application right now. So this is called situational disability. So these are the things which we need to remember, that anyone can be disabled at any point in time depending upon situation, and there are different things which we have to take in mind. So by making the web accessible, we take care of all our users, and they can use the web in all different scenarios which they can. And since there are different types of users and different disabilities, hence there are multiple ways in which they can access the web, and these are called assistive technologies. For example, keyboard. So keyboard is also a kind of assistive technology, and many users are relying just on that to access the web. Then we have screen readers or narrators, and then there are other different assistive technology like braille display, there's switch, and so on. So let's see how to test for accessibility. So I'm going to cover three important points. First is using keyboard, like what do we test for when we're using keyboard? Then using the browser tools like dev tools, how we and extensions, how we can test for accessibility. Then using the screen readers. So let's get started for the first point, using keyboard. Like what do we test for using keyboards, right? So uh, this is not going to be an extensive list because there are lots of things which we can test. I'm going to focus on some important points. So like for keyboard, the first thing which we can test for is, are all the interactive elements reachable? So interactive elements are all elements which like you can click upon or you can do some action with, right? Like it could be a button, a drop down, a link, any form element, and so on, a menu hover, and lots of things, a model. So first thing is that if user has to go and take some action, it has to go and click some button or some link, first they have to reach that, right? So if we use mouse, we can go and click, but let's say for this example we are going to use keyboard. So are they all reachable also via keyboard? So for this, I'm going to take an example of a Glovo app, and there is a disclaimer that I just take examples so that I can teach and I can let you know that what are the ways things can be inaccessible. I'm not going to point, not this is not to point out on any website or so, right? So it's just for demo purpose. So let's go. I have my Glovo app open, so it's like glovoapp.com, and maybe I will make it a bit more because okay, cool. So the first thing which we can do is we can start through this. They just go and start, and we can go and start pressing tab to see that is everything reachable, right? So for example, here this is a link, a Glovo icon is a link, get started is looks like a button, this is a in search box, so this should be reachable. Then again there is a button, and these are again different links which take to different countries. So my first intent is I'm going to tab and I want to go everywhere, but if you can look at the screen, you will see that we don't know where we are, right? Like, so the first reaction is, okay, am I going anywhere, am I navigating or so? Because I don't know, I'm not getting that visual feedback here. So but the thing is that it's actually navigating through all these links. So we are maybe at Kazakhstan and like so on, so we are moving, but we cannot see it because the focus has been removed from it. So there is no visual feedback, and when there is no visual feedback, a user will not be able to understand where they are currently on this website. And if they cannot understand, how will they proceed? So for example, if I want to go and maybe check for something in Romania, I'm in Romania and I would like to check if go in that link, but how do I go? It's very hard to go there. So this is first thing which we need to do. We need to check if everything is giving me a visual feedback, if everything is reachable or not. And I will say what's the problem here. So actually, because it is reachable but we cannot see, the problem is that all the buttons and links, so we have a styling. So if I'm just opening my dev tools right now, okay, and yeah, I'm opening my dev tools and I'm trying to see, yeah. And so I'll just increase. Yeah, cool. Now, if we go ahead and check, so let's say this is a button. So there is a specific styling which many people apply, to be honest. It's very common, and where we go ahead and is it's a button and it says outline none. So there should be outline none styling somewhere, and due to that, and I cannot find this right now, but okay, this okay. Let's check this one. Yeah, it's a link. There should be. mm, okay, right here, outline. Does it work? No. So this filter is not there. Okay, it's there. But anyways, yeah, there should be a styling. I'm not sure if I can't see it properly to find, because I definitely saw it. But let's say, okay. Sorry, my bad. So this button is not focused right now. First, we need to go and say that, let's say it is in focus. And when the button is in focus, then we see that there is a styling applied. So the styling is like, okay, when the button or any interactive elements get focused, just remove the outline. And what happens as a result, then when we tab, it's in focus, but still we see no difference. So let me just remove this outline. And now if I go and tab, we see a blue outline on it, the focus. So it gives me feedback. Okay, so now I'm getting feedback, which is my current active element, right? So this is a very important point, and it's like it doesn't need to be the default one. Like, I know there is lots of, like, people say that this does not work well with my branding color. So like, even design team says that that doesn't look like, people say that outline is ugly and so on, so they just remove it. Instead of removing, we can use some different styling if we want. Like, you don't have to just rely on this blue outline. You can go ahead and use some border, use some color and design and all. Like, I will show you an example of government.uk website. This is like my go-to website if I want to show something. So here it's not the blue outline. They have like tried to make it different, and it still is visible, like, that which is the current active element, right? So it's, we don't have to rely on that, but there should be something which lets the user know that this is your current element, like this is your current active element, and you can go ahead and uh, act on it, right? So that is something which is very important. So yeah, this is the first point. And the second point, so yeah, the second point is, can these be acted upon? So let's say, even if we all these interactive elements, even if we reach it, can we act on it? Like, if it's a button, can we press enter or space bar and activate the button? If it's a link, can we let's say, enter and go to that? So like, we need to see if we can act upon these. For example, again here, so first, when I was testing this, I thought that was the cursor keeps blinking in this input box. So I'm like, okay, so I can search, but I cannot search actually. And when I tab on it, then it's when I realize that the focus is not here, so it never comes here. So this is a place where I can go and I start searching, right? But I cannot actually go there and search. Okay. Escape. So yeah, I mean, I cannot. So like, this is totally hidden from a keyboard user. So why is this? Because a keyboard user, I think, cannot go and search for the address. Why is it? Because it's all div. If we go ahead and again inspect this element and see in our dev tools, and I'm using Chrome browser and Chrome DevTools here. So, and it's all divs. It's a div. So divs by default are not accessible, because the purpose of diff is just to create some divisions. It's not something which we use when we are trying to maybe create an input element. So there are different semantic elements which we should use for the purpose. For example, there should be input, there should be a search element, there could be a drop down, a button. So these are all semantic HTML. So but if we use a div, it will not provide the accessibility out of the box. So, and this is the reason user cannot act on it. So no user can use a keyboard and come here and search for the address and proceed, right? So this is not accessible. So what we saw. So these are the two important things which I would like to talk about in using keyboard testing. Make sure you test these because they cover a lots of issues. And so we saw the issues where that if we do outline none and we do not provide any fallback, then there will be no visual feedback and it will be highly inaccessible. And then if we use non-semantic HTML elements, then again, the users won't be able to access those elements or those actions. And so if I am coming there to buy something and I cannot do the actions, I will not go to that website again, right? So this is how you lose users as well. So it is very important. So, and again, the reason is, so if we go ahead and we just test using keyboard like we did, right, we would have found out these issues. So if you test, you will find out issues. And if you find issues, go ahead and fix it and make things more accessible. So now we go to our second point, which is using browser tools and extensions. And here I will also focus just on Chrome DevTools, but you can do your testing in any DevTools. So there are some helpful browser tools and extensions, like first of all DevTools, which we have by default in the browser. Then we will also take a look at Lighthouse, Axe extension, Accessibility Pane, and another extension called Accessibility Insights for Web. So let's check it. So first we saw these DevTools, right? So I opened my DevTools and I already show you how we can detect some things, but let's go a bit more deep into it. So I'm going to go to Lighthouse. So Lighthouse is again inbuilt in Chrome DevTools. So we go to Lighthouse and we select accessibility from categories and we click on analyze page load. When we say that, it's going to reload the page and it's going to test for accessibility issues. And one thing to keep in mind here is that these are just the automated tests. So they do not provide full test, right? So, and this covers only 30 to 40% of total accessibility issues. So one thing to keep in mind here is that the score is not a representation of how accessible the website is. Even if the score is 100, it can mean the website is totally inaccessible because there are more parameters to it. But having said that, this does provide some of the things which we can test and we can like easily win. Kind of, these are easy wins. For example, it says that image does not have alt attributes. So if we have some images and we don't provide alt attributes, the users who are totally reliant on screen readers, they won't be able to understand what that image represents or what is the information we are trying to provide through that image. Then links does not have discernible name. So what this means is, let's click on this, and in Lighthouse you can check all the errors, and they also give us element, and when we click on it, they take us to that specific element. I can go ahead and say that, hey, can you please scroll this into view for me? So now I know that these two are the links. And what does it mean? That we have a button, and if you see, you will see that it says download on the App Store. But when we look at the element, let me, yeah, okay. So when we look at the element, this element element has just an image inside it. So, and this image again has no alt attribute or something. So there is no text in this anchor. So when the screen reader will announce, they wouldn't say anything, right? They would say link, and worst case scenario, they will announce the path of the image, which is not very understandable thing for the user, right? What we can do is we can add either a ARIA label or some text which is visually hidden, and we can say the name that download on the App Store. So I will show you another way in which we can test in Chrome DevTools. So we come here, we see that there is an element called anchor element, and there is an image inside it, and it has no alt attribute, right? If we want to really see what information of our each element is passed on to the assistive technologies, there is something called accessibility pane. So in Chrome DevTools, when we come to the elements pane, there are panes inside it which are style, computed, and so on. If we click on the arrow, we will see accessibility. So accessibility pane is kind of a hidden, but there is a very nice information which is available here. So through this, we can see the accessibility information of any element. So for example, this anchor tag. So it says that, okay, this role is link, it is focusable, yes, but there is no name on it. And it also gives me information that how the name is being derived from. So it looks for title, then content, then aria label, then aria labeled by. And in this case, we haven't provided anything. So the name is nothing. So when it will be then it will be just an empty link for a user, and user won't know that what to do, like what will happen if I click on this link, right? If I don't know what will happen if I click on this link, I will not click on this link. What if I'm hacked or something? So yeah, so this is the way in which we can use accessibility pane to understand more about any element. Now, the other thing is, so we saw lighthouse was already there, but there is another Axe extension which we have to install, but they are very nice, Axe dev tools. And one point here, lighthouse is also based on Axe, so they use this under the hoods. So we can it gets installed in the dev tools, and we can go ahead and say that scan all my page, and this does a similar thing, it scans the page. But why I like Axe dev tools a lot is because it gives a very nice information. Like, let's say here it says that link must be discernible text. If we click on it, yes, you can go and check the issue and everything. What's very nice is there is a link which you click, it will give you more information about that accessibility error. So like, when we are trying to learn, this is very important, because I can come and read why this was important, why is it important to put the text on a link, and how in different ways we can do it. And it gives a very nice information. So this is a very good way of learning about different accessibility errors and fixing it and all. So this is quite important, very nice. So go ahead and do check this dev tools, it is pretty nice. Then we have something called Microsoft Insights. So Insights, Accessibility Insights for Web, it is by Microsoft. When we install it, it gets installed in the taskbar, and if we click on the icon, we can do multiple types of tests here. So what I'm going to do, we can check for multiple things, headings, landmarks, and so on. But I'm going to do a check which is called tab stop. So what it does, it gives a visual representation of where my tab is going when I'm pressing tab. So let's say I'm going to do this. So the first tab will be Glovo, the icon with the name, and then get started. And if we see here now that it just jumped the search input, what's your address, and it goes directly to explore stores around you. So this is also a good way to know that what elements would have been skipped when the user will press tab. So in this way, we can also see that which interactive elements we skipped in the process. So this is again a very nice tool. And I'll stop it now. So yes, go ahead and use these tools and test for accessibility, and yeah, fix it if you find some issues. Then we come to our last thing, which is screen reader. So screen readers, you whatever device you use, whatever laptop you use, you might have a screen reader with all these devices. Like for Mac, there is built-in called voiceover. With Windows also, there is, I guess, a narrator is built in, and there is NVDA which you can install. Then for Linux, I think Orca is for Linux. So, and even on mobile, you have all these voiceovers in every mobile, for Android, for uh, iPhone, and so on. So there will be one default screen reader for almost all the devices. And getting started with screen reader could be a bit tricky. I wouldn't say that this would be as simple as using a keyboard or something like that. But there are certain resources which are very nice, which can help us to get started with it. Like we can check some of the shortcuts and how the users use and so on. So I have listed some of the links here on the screen. On the slide, you have the slide, so you get access to all the links. A very important link is the last one, how a screen reader user surfs the web. This is very important, because if we see how a user really uses that technology, we get lots of insights about it. Like there is like people generally, some people generally think that users, even screen readers users, just go on pressing tab and then they listen and they do stuff like that. But it's not like that. They use lots of different control to move from one element to another, or move from header to header, from link to link, and lots of different things, how they navigate between paragraphs and so on. So if we see this, we get to know that how they are using, and then this can be used for us to learn how to test better. So what to test for when we are using a screen reader? A very important thing is landmarks. Landmarks are important because when we use landmarks, they provide a structure for the page. So we provide a structure of the page by using landmarks, like we use main, navigation, header, footer, and so on. And this is also important because these landmarks can be used by assistive technology users to navigate through our page. We will see that in a while. So for example, here I am at a government UK website, and once we open the screen reader, in Mac voiceover, you can press Control Option U, and you will open a rotor. So in this rotor, there are different shortcuts. The first one is using landmark. So using landmark, we can see that there is a banner, there is a navigation, then main, and then content information. And once we navigate through it and we press enter, we go directly to that place. So similarly, there are headings. I am not sure why the screen is not, yeah. So yeah, and same with headings. So that's why headings are very important in a page. If we have proper headings in our page, that really makes uh, life easier for screen reader users, because they know the structure of the page and they can move from heading to heading. Then same for the links. We can choose to just surf to the links and go to the proper place. And that is why links are important. If links will not have a name, then we won't be able to understand even through these that what is the purpose of that link. Then alternative description for media. We already saw an example that how alt for images is important, and same for audio and video. So like if we have audio or video content on our then we should provide closed captions and transcripts, so that a user who cannot, let's say, hear, they can still read it and understand that what is in that audio or video. Then we come to form labels. Forms are one of the most important components on our applications, right? Like forms are used to get some information from the user. For example, let's say payment information. Like if we want to buy stuff, users will have to go and fill in the form to pay, to log in. To put the address details and so on. So this is a very critical component. But if we don't label them properly, they can become highly inaccessible for the users. So let's see an example. So I think, oh yeah, let me show it from here first. So the reason I blurred the screen was so that we wouldn't, so we cannot see properly what were the different field names. But when I try to navigate via this form through screen reader, we can see that it says blank blank every time, because the it's not labeled properly. And when it's not labeled properly, it just says the type of the input and blank. So if we have 10 form elements, everything with a text, it will just keep on saying text input blank, text input blank. So now as a user who is just reliant on the screen readers to go and fill the form, like how will I know what to fill in what field, right? So again, I cannot understand, and it will be very difficult to fill in those forms just by myself. So we can label. And so what not to do when we label things, like more, I've seen these examples so many times that we just use non-semantic HTML to label our form. So don't use just span, div, and so on. But also, even if we are using label, which is the correct element to label any input, if we do not provide any extra information, it becomes disable. So if I write label on its own and then input, it's not accessible, because this input doesn't know that this label is associated with the input. So the proper ways to label are, there is one way where you can wrap the input within the label element. In that case, because it's a children, it knows that yeah, this is my label. But this can get complicated because normally when we have our inputs and all, we have certain descriptions attached with input maybe, and so on. So we can keep them separate. This is what I think I prefer, and many people prefer as well. So we can keep the label separate, and we can say that this label is for this id, and the id is of input. So we put an id on the input, and for label we say that hey, this is for this input. Now they are properly attached. And if we see an example of how it looks when we are labeling it properly, or how it sounds. So now it reads out the name and labels of all the elements, and we know that okay, what is the information, right? So this makes it more accessible because I know what I have to fill. But I would also like to show how we can okay, this is the one, how we can actually use it to inspect. Let me inspect it. uh, we can also use the accessibility pane to understand this. So let's say I have this input. I have used a span to label this input. Now, if I go to again the accessibility pane, which I showed earlier, it will say that okay, the role is text box and everything, but the name is empty string because span is not a proper. But if we go to email, which has been properly labeled, it says that the name is confirmed email, and from where this label is coming. So it's coming from the for attribute of this element, and if I click on it, it goes to that element. So that's how we can really use the accessibility pane to understand a lot more about every element. And if we have some error, we can use it for debugging those issues, and it is pretty nice. So the another point is, are the dynamic changes announced? So we can have some dynamic information on our website. So for example, let's say a banking website, like if the session is idle for a long time, we give a pop-up that says that hey, you have been idle for a long time, like it will maybe log out in 2 minutes if you don't do anything, and so on. Like there are certain these kind of things which are there. Now these messages are important, and they need to be conveyed to the user. So what if I cannot see and I'm just reliant on a screen reader to know that information? So if we do not announce that information to the user won't be able to know that there is some important message there. Same goes with forms. So if we have a form, and once the user submits the form, then there is some feedback message which comes in. What if there is an error? So if there is an error, I need to know that there is an error if I want to act on it, right? So let's see an example here. So this is a very, very simple example, but okay. So it just says that which conference are you attending, and it writes a message. But we will see that when this is not announced and when it's announced. So for example, I'm going to start my voiceover.
Frame zero. Frame zero. Which conference are you attending? Edit. A1y. A11y. Say hi. Button.
So the message came there, hello there, welcome to Tech Alley conference, but it did not announce to the user. So the user won't be able to, and this was the message, okay. And so the user won't know the feedback.
Voiceover off.
So we can fix this, and now this we don't have to do on every element. This should be only on the elements which are important, where we want to show the user some information and they need to know that message, right? So we have in my, let me make it bigger, this and this I don't need here. So yeah, I will make it even more bigger, it's okay. Yeah. So here I have a div wherein the form input message comes, like the form submit message comes. So we can say role equal to status, which yeah, which means that yeah, read it out. But also there is something called aria live polite. uh, We can use either of these, but sometimes there are browser compatibility issues, and so we can use both of them. So once we say this, and there are different values of this. This is not only one value. Like for ARIA Live Polite, there are multiple values. Polite means that if the screen reader is already reading something else to the user, let it finish and then come and read this. There is another one which stops everything else which is screen reader is reading and then comes and reads this. I think it's called alert, and we can read more about this on MDN. But this is pretty important because this lets the users know. Let's say now I will reset. I will try to go and just do the same thing.
Voiceover on main. Heading level. Which conference are you attending? 8 tech A. A11y.
Oh, I didn't refresh maybe. Come on.
Voiceover off.
Okay. I saved it, right? I will save it again and I will refresh it. It should have worked, but it's okay. I'll open the voice.
Frame 0. Frame 0. Link. Open. Which conference are you attending? 8 A. A11y.
Okay, demo gone wrong. What did I do? I definitely.
Selection replaced. Greater than.
Status. Real life polite. Okay. No, it's okay. But yeah, it's
Felt A11y examples. Web contact A11y. Voiceover off.
Yeah. Let me inspect, but I'll just see it once and then we move. It should have something happen, but yeah. So normally we use it this way, and then yeah, we should ensure that whatever dynamic changes we have, they should be announced to the user so that user knows what information is there for them. This is very, very important. So I will also check this later, and if I don't think something needs to be updated, but I will update the link if it's there, and you already have my slides. So to summarize, test all that you build using just keyboards, screen readers, browser dev tools, and extensions. And whenever we are creating something or whenever we are testing, we should always think from user perspective. And a very good approach would be to test for accessibility from the very start. So focus on accessibility just like you focus on everything else. And I have an action item for you, which is that test whatever you are working on today with all that I shared with you, and I hope that this was helpful for you. These are some extra resources which you can use to explore more about accessibility. And thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. This was a great talk. So I have a question. I'm a developer. I've watched this.
Mhm.
I work for this product, which is complicated, like many things nowadays. So many teams work on different parts of a website, different functionality. I'm inspired by your talk.
Okay.
How do I convince the rest of the company to invest in this and to really make an effort to improve accessibility? What is your tip?
Yeah, that is actually a very common thing, a common question, and a very important question, because that is very important. Even I have lots of difficulties. It's always difficult to convince the management mostly to uh, buy an accessibility. But so, like, how I approach or my suggestion is that they need some data or they need some points to be able to do something, right? Like so I start with, like, I test maybe on my own or something, and I figure out some important use cases. And if you figure out important use cases and you saw that, see, these are not accessible, so the user won't be able to do these kind of stuff, they won't be able to proceed. And so this is one point. We start by this. So this is how I always start. The first thing is always to say that these some logical explanation. But then many people can still say that yeah, but our users are not disabled and so on. Like I have heard this. So yeah, it's like that. Like people say that no, but I don't think that disabled users will use this product. This is way too complicated. And then it's the way to go, like because there are laws around accessibility, right? It's not that you just cannot make things accessible, right? There are laws. So you have to take that route then, right? Like there are laws, there are lawsuits which have been filed, and companies have had to pay and all stuff like that. And I'm sure that no company wants to be like sued for it. And it's a good thing. I would really like if people do it just because it's the right thing to do, and not because of fearful of a law. But then sometimes we have to bring out pointers, and then this really help the laws, because in even in Europe, European Union, there are laws. In US, of course, there are laws. In UK, every country definitely has laws around accessibility. And yeah, things are moving better in accessibility terms in laws. So I would say that that is one good pointer.
That is one thing that we hope for that will positively improve the experience.
Yeah.
There's of course a difference between doing the bare minimum and really building for inclusivity.
True.
So that is a thing that I hope that it will work. But it's good. So if you're watching this, you're inspired, which I can't imagine you're not. Point to the laws. Point to what is coming up there then.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, definitely the future is more accessible, because there are like people have to like, okay, like you have to make it accessible. It's yeah. I mean, it should be like that. I don't know, like yeah, I do not feel great when I see lots of such kind of pointers when they say that yeah, users are not disabled and so on. It's not the right point to make, to be honest. Uh, it should be accessible. Yeah.
And you gave some examples. What struck me was that a lot of these examples are choices people make when they create a website because it is beautiful or they
Yeah.
think something is ugly. I had to immediately think of the ghost buttons.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we try to focus a lot on the presentation, which is good, not bad, of course. Focus on the presentation, but then many times we forget to also think about how it works under the hood, right? Like you can make a very fancy button, but the its point is that someone goes and should be able to click on it or activate it. So if they are not able to do that, there is no point of making such a beautiful button, which I spent maybe 3 sprints making. So yeah, it should work.
It should work. You mentioned something. Um, it's 15% of the world's population. We know that. And you mentioned something. How do you lose users? These are 15% of the possible customers, the possible users.
Yeah.
But you're actually taking away the opportunity for people to shop in a normal way or work in a normal way, right?
Yes. So yeah, it's very important. And now, like not now, but like since 3 years, like with pandemic and everything, right? Like it. Imagine that web was highly inaccessible. It still is, but like users are totally reliant on web, on internet, because there's lockdown. So the only way I can get food, I can get medicine, or I can get anything is via the websites, via booking something from there, and they are not accessible. Like that would have been so like a bad scenario, right? So it's just, so this is how inconvenient it can be. So there's one thing which I did not show here, but I show it in my other talks, like different kinds of talks I have. So they're like let's say we remove the focus outline, right? So if you are just using keyboard, you saw we were not able to see where we were on the screen, right? Now what if we invert it? Like what if you flip the table? There's an example where I remove the mouse thingy from the screen. So when you're using keyboard, it's okay, but when you start using mouse, you don't know where your mouse is. So how are you going to check? So this is like, once we get like a person, they experience it themselves, then this also becomes more like evident, like how inconvenient it could be. But yeah, so that's why I always suggest to test ourselves. So once we test, we are putting ourselves in the shoes of how different users would be using, and then we get more like we get more experience, and we know that no, I have to fix this, this is not good at all, right? So it's like that. This is how we proceed, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I hope that everybody watches this talk. I totally recommend, if you ever see Anuruddha anywhere talking, go. Thank you so much for joining today. The recording will be online as well soon.
It's time up, it's giving time up, but yeah, thank you
This
so.
is this is pure coincidental, but
Yeah,
here
thank
we
you. I
go.
had a great time coming here, giving a talk, and it was nice to meet you. And also
Nice to
stay
meet you
safe
too.
soon.
Yeah, indeed. I hope she does. Thank you, and we'll see you around.
Thank you.
Which brings us to the next speaker. It's somebody I can't avoid, even if I would want to, but I don't want to, luckily. It's Rory Preddy. Rory is principal developer
Yes,
advocate.
principal advocate, accessibility and cloud and Java and now AI, because we're going to do a talk on accessibility with AI. I'm going to show you some incredible tools. And on the back of that incredible presentation we just saw, I'm going to show you how to do some things with some of the new fangled buzzwords that are going around, ChatGPT, OpenAI. So definitely you don't want to miss this session.
Awesome. Well, I won't keep you then. It sounds exciting. So, Rory, let's see if I can pull up your screen. And there you go.
So the interesting thing about this talk is that when you see these are images that I created with OpenAI DALI. So DALI is a tool that OpenAI partnered with Microsoft to create. And you can see here that in this PowerPoint presentation, AI for accessibility, it's got someone who's wearing in a wheelchair holding the hands of an android walking through a forest, and I generated that using OpenAI. And it's really the point of this conversation, that with AI you can do things that you didn't necessarily know you can, and I'm going to show you how to utilize a lot of those for accessibility. Okay, so you can follow me on Twitter on @RoryPreddy, and let's get started. So first we're going to give an introduction, then we're going to go through what is Accessibility 101 and what is accessibility to me, because it can differ slightly to other people. Tools and testing, we're going to go through GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, and Azure OpenAI, and then I'm going to do a demo using a few tools to create a website, and then show you how to make that website accessible with a few commands. Okay, so sentiment spectrum for AI. And I know everyone is freaking out right now with artificial intelligence and OpenAI, because some people think it's useless, and they say it's really fun, but just a toy. It's entertaining, but no real use cases. Some people think it's bad for humanity. It's dangerous. It amplifies fake news, and AI will take our jobs. Human will become dumb. But other people think it's capable and good for humanity, can unlock human potential, and there's some very useful applications. And I was one of the camps that didn't really understand where I fitted in, because I've been an advocate for Microsoft for 4 and a bit years, and I've been in developer relations for 10 years. And I've always seen artificial intelligence as both a win and also maybe a little bit dangerous. In the back of my mind, I had this picture of artificial intelligence like watching over us in our bed and saying, "Are you asleep?" And it did give me some nightmares, because in truth, I wanted accessibility to be baked into AI. Now, I have dwarfism, achondroplasia, and I bolt onto, these are my car pedals, nearly everything to get the job done. And I've always wanted something to assist me that I didn't have to bolt on. So instead of me jumping on a desk or trying to get coffee, I can use artificial intelligence to do what I wanted. And I'm 43, so I hit my midlife crisis. I started wanting to lose weight, and I jumped on one of those scales, those BMI scales, and I said, please tell me what's up. And then you could see it calculates your BMI with artificial intelligence. So I entered my height, 4.1 or 120 centimeters at the time, 65 kilos. I am 50 kilos now, so the diet did work. And I jumped on it, and it called me, after done its calculations, terrible names, because what had happened is that the owners of that scale had given birth to something called the Hydra. They had created an artificial intelligence that didn't understand that I had accessible requirements. So, and you can't fix that scale in production. And you chop off the head of the Hydra, the mythical beast, and another one grows, and another one grows. And eventually, with accessibility, you get to the point that your product is useless. And here you can see here someone's trying to fix a wheelchair ramp, and they can't right at the end, and they basically have to get rid of that entire ramp. So I had an idea in my mind. I wanted to take accessibility and use it to really get a faster velocity for accessible problems. And I've managed to do that with the help of Microsoft, with OpenAI, and our accessibility team at Microsoft. So let's go through some criteria around what accessibility, and then we'll get to the demo a little bit later. So what is Accessibility 101? So at Microsoft, we believe accessibility is the design of products, services, environments so that everyone, including people with disabilities, can fully experience them. You don't code for people with disabilities. You don't go to a doctor and you say, I'm feeling horrible. Oh, I think you have the disabilities. Here's a disability pill. Rather, you're only really aware of your disability when you're not really included in the product and service design. Remember that scale that I had? I wasn't included in that product as service design. We also have compliance. The EU and Canada is leading this. And then once you have that, then you can increase your productivity and innovation. I'm going to show you a very easy way to increase your innovation, because I took AI and I created innovative ways to get around accessibility. Because we don't believe that disability is a human health condition. Like I said, you go to the doctor. He will only tell you you're disabled when you have a mismatched human interaction. So if you can't walk, or you can't talk, or you can't move, you'll feel disabled. And I only felt disabled when I jumped on that scale when the scale didn't actually meet my requirements. So how do we fix this? First of all, we have some tools and tests. And I hope you like the image there. That's like Gandalf's cage. Then I just said to Dali, just create a cage with potions and magic and everything like that, and went and created for me. So we shift left. At Microsoft, we believe that you design and build accessibility from the start. So you have techniques and tools, and we have a tool very similar to the Lighthouse tool that was demoed earlier, called Accessibility Insights. And you can go to accessibilityinsights.io. It uses the XDQ engine, the rules engine, the most popular rules engine for accessibility requirements. And then you can actually, with your engineer, go and run it similar to what we saw in the Lighthouse demo then. Then you bring in people with disabilities, and they have user engagement, design sprints, and those individuals, and I can tell you, are more motivated to fix those problems because they have skin in the game. They understand exactly what it's like to have a requirement and not have it met. And then you fill in the design gaps. You've got the LE design spec reviews, the toolkits, and the PWD sessions. And then finally, you do rigorous testing with trusted tester. And we're going to look at how you can do that, though. And in testing, you can use your automated checks. Go to accessibilityinsights.io. And this also has an Azure DevOps test. So you can actually go in. And remember, shift left is all about being able to test early on in the stage. So how do you bug bash for accessibility? And I get asked this question multiple times. First of all, you run Accessibility Insights, and that's the tool that we actually identified, and we're going to do that in the demo now. Then you use the app with only the keyboard, use the app at 400% zoom, And once you've identified all of those issues and you fix them, then you check your results with Azure OpenAI. It was launched two weeks ago. And this will actually tell you with AI, exactly like people are doing to generate their essays in schools and homework and everything. But I took a little bit of a step. I wanted to be innovative, and I'm using it now to help people address accessibility issues they didn't notice or they couldn't actually get to. And I'm using Copilot and GPT. You might have heard it as ChatGPT 3. And there's a big hoo-ha about this. We gave some money to OpenAI to pursue the holy grail of artificial intelligence. And then we licensed OpenAI's groundbreaking GPT-3 text engine. And we released, look at that, we released quite a few models around that. Recently, we made the OpenAI service generally available. You've got the DaVinci model, which I'm going to show you a little bit today, and the DALL-E model, which you've been watching all those images that I've just shown you as we progress through that. So what is the OpenAI Codex model, and which I'm going to show you today with GitHub Copilot? So OpenAI Codex says, I understand code. I've been trained on 80 billion GitHub repos. I think it is in the billions. It can actually write code. So it uses OpenAI Codex. All languages, programming languages are supported. It works with most IDEs. I'm going to show you today with IntelliJ, but you can use Visual Studio, VS Code, JetBrains, all of them. And you send the context, so it actually understands what you're doing in your code. And then once you do that, your limited context is sent to Copilot. It makes a suggestion. You can accept that suggestion, or you can go to other suggestions, and then deletes the context right after the suggestions have been generated. Obviously, then it's secure, it's encrypted. And you can use it to convert comments to code. You can autofill repetitive code, and you can show alternatives, which we'll show you in the demo. So what is GPT-3? So that's very similar to OpenAI Codex, except it iterates ideas quickly, very quickly. And you get a sample response over here. Summarize the game commentary into highlights. You can refine the examples, so you can have inputs, and then you can refine them. And then also you can optimize with prompt and completion examples. So how do they work together? So I've got Copilot and also ChatGPT-3 or GPT-3 on Azure, and I'm going to show you a demo of how they're going to work together. So that's basically all the slides I'm going to show you today. And let us get out of this. And I'm going to show you a demo. The first thing I want to do in a demo is I'm going to open up IntelliJ here, and I've got the sample project already. If we need to back down, always have a backup. And I'm going to go, and we're going to code from scratch here. I'm going to go new project, and I'm going to create an HTML5 boilerplate here, and I'm going to call that Ali Conf. And I'm going to go create, and it's going to create a nice little HTML5 site. And then I can actually go into my index.html here, and I can right click and run there. I can go run index.html, and it's brought it up onto this screen here. Let me just bring it down here. And this is really what it looks like. It just says, this is HTML5 boilerplate. Okay, so that's great. And now I want to go and make some changes to it. So I want to open up index.html here. You can see it's got some tags, and it's got some body here. I want to get rid of the analytics here. Let's get rid of that. And I want to get rid of the p tag here. So the first thing I want to do is I've installed GitHub Copilot in IntelliJ. You can see there on the right-hand side, there's GitHub Copilot. And it will give me context of whatever I'm going to do. And it scans your files, and also it can, and some of the new features that are going to be launched soon, can scan the files in your directory, directly in there. So it can actually get context of the other files also. And you can install it with IntelliJ. You can just go file, settings, and you can just install it in under plugins. You can see there, I've got GitHub Copilot. So I want to first under the body tag here, and I've got my little script here. I want to embed a video, and I've already got the video tag. I'm going to show you how to do that. And I want to embed a video with captions. So in my body here, I'm going to tell it, I'm going to give it a comment there. Embed a video tag with a video called magnify sample video.mp4 and a captions file called magnify sample video.vtt with the width of 320 and height of 240, and add the controls. This is all in GitHub Copilot. And I hit enter. Done. And I just hit tab there. Or I can actually go into GitHub Copilot and it can actually give me the actual options here. There are more options. It's just done two options there. And I can actually go in there and I can just accept the first option there. And I want to do label, and it can even finish it off there, label equals to English, and close the video tag. Now I want to add that video there. I want to add it into a video folder. Let's go into there, into a video folder, and also into a video folder there. I've got the video ready. I've already got it created. So I'm going to show you now. So let's just go new, and we want to go directory, and we want to create video. Now, you can create this video with these captions with Video Indexer. So this is a tool that Microsoft has called Video Indexer.ai. You can see here I've got a magnifier sample one of my colleagues actually created for the Windows Mac, and it gives you all the captions here. And you can even go in and modify the captions you want here, but you can also download the closed captions. And remember what I said to you, I'm going to download the VTT, and you can use speakers, and it's got some AI capabilities there also. This really is AI. So we're going to close it there. And I want to download the actual video also, just to make sure I've got a copy of it. And I want to go download and the source video. So it's going to download all of that. And now I'm going to go in into my downloads folder. Let's go into my downloads folder there. And I'm going to copy the VTT file. It's taking a few seconds. But I'm running. So the trick about Restream, Suzanne, is I'm running this on high definition video. If you want to know why my video is so incredible, is I found a way to actually run my video on very high definition. Okay, so let's copy those files there. I will have to rename them, and let's close the video indexer here, and then onto the video file here. I can just right click in there and go paste, and we go okay. And now if I go into my video file here, I should be able to do that. And I just want to rename that quickly here, and I want to go, where is rename here? And do you see? Okay, let's just go in there. Maybe if I just click on it, is it clever enough to actually just give me that there? And I want to go copy paste, refactor. There we go, rename, because it's under refactor. And I want to go just name it as we did there, refactor, yay. And I want to go there, and I want to go refactor and rename. And okay, so now we have the video file. We've asked Copilot to actually go in and do that. So now we can go refactor. I can actually go in and right click on my index.html, and I can go run the index.html, and you'll see there that it's actually got, if it comes up here, there we go, the caption file. Now I can actually go, here's my caption files, captions on, and I can see the magnifier sample video here with my colleague, Belinda Shamlu. Okay, so I can actually test, is this all accessible, by going into my accessibility insights. Let's go into extensions here, and I can install accessibility insights. So accessibility insights.io. And I can install the Chrome. This is running Chrome here, and I can go add to Chrome. So now I've got the accessibility insights for web, and I can go in and, very similar to Lighthouse, add to Chrome. I can actually check my web page. I want to check that web page that we've got there. I've got it already here. I can go in here and I can just click on, let me just view that there. I want to click there, and I can just click on that, and I can go run FastPass. Enable telemetry, okay. And I can just go right click, and I can go enable FastPass. Oh, there's changes. I have issues. Document title has lang, all of these, and it actually will tell you where it is, and you can actually click through and see exactly what you want to do, because this uses AI to actually work out what you want to do. But I'm not finished with my demo just yet. I want to go back into here, and now I want to actually go in and create a form, an HTML form. So over here under my video, I want to go create a form with a name message that and a message that has a button that calls a separate JavaScript function to alert the form field. So let's go in there and say, okay, cool. Can you give me that form? Let's go in there. Okay, form. It wants to do that, and then I can actually go into get a Copilot and say, what are the options that you're going to give me here? It wants me to actually do one thing at a time, but I'm pretty lazy. Let's just see what options do we have. I don't want the one. Sometimes it gives me PHP for some reason here. One click equals name, no. So document name. Okay, so I wanted to rather go at the top one here, button, and let's just see here, send button here. Okay, submit, alert on submit. I don't want that. I actually want one that it gave me before. And this is something that you can actually play around with. Remember, there are a lot of changes that you can actually play around with. So let's go here, and we can go form, label for name. It's going to give me input time equals to ID, label for message, the actual message, the submit. There we go, the alert form, and then form. It gives me on-click alert form. So there is a problem because I want to do a script here. So I can actually do script. Now I want to actually create a function, a JavaScript function, to alert on the form data. So I'm going to my script here, and I can just go JavaScript function to alert on the form data. Done. Now I can run it, and then we can see what else we can do with ChatGPT and OpenAI. So let's go run that there. Just want to confirm, yeah, we store online. Okay, so now we've got name, so I can go test and test. I can go submit. Submit. Let me just hit refresh there. You know what? I didn't actually put the right JavaScript function there, if you remember that. Alert form, unsubmit, click equals to alert form, alert equals to document name, button, submit. And I want to actually see here, I think I added action. I need to do the action here. Yeah, okay. That's what my problem is. It actually gave me the wrong one there. I actually want to do this. So there's a little bit of help that you need with OpenAI. And I also want to do button type equals to submit. Yeah, this should work. And I want to get rid of that one click there. Okay, so let's go and try that again. And we're going to go run index.html. And I want to hit refresh there. And I want to go name and message and submit. Okay, so let's go back there. I've got the text that I need there, and let's go copy that, paste over there. It must be that I forgot one of the actions there, and let's paste it there. And okay, so on submit, return the alert form. Try it one more time. Also, I've got the backup that we can actually run, and hit refresh there. Actually, want to close all of these other windows there. Close, close, close. And we can close the video indexer. Okay, so now I hit refresh here, and we go name, message, submit. Okay, so it should actually alert there around that, and I'm going to just show you the end result that we have here. Let's go copy it over here, and let's go back in there, and just stay with me, folks. You want to see the end of this. Obviously, cannot save. Close that, and we want to go here and just paste it. Okay, so this is the end result that I did before, and then we can just right click on there, go run the index.html. There we go, and it's got email rather than that, and I can go Rory and test at test.com. Now I can hit submit. There we go, alert. But it's not accessible just yet, because if I can go into my accessibility insights here and I run FastPass against here, you see there, okay, that actually is accessible, but it's not accessible with the WCAG 2.1 AA compliance here. So I'm going to take this page and I'm going to actually run it against the original page with OpenAI. So what is OpenAI? And we went through it a little bit there. So this is the GPT-3 playground. This is ChatGPT. And you can see here, I can say modify the following code to be accessible. Add the labels, the ARIA tags, and the tab index. So I can actually go in and it'll count the tab index for me. So now I can actually go generate. And you can see there, welcome to South Africa. And it'll go in and actually add it. And I've set the temperature as 1. There's quite a few nice properties you can do there. The probabilities are 0.5. I've left everything else here. So you know what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take the page. Let's take the original page we did with that form that didn't work, though. So you can actually see what it was here with the submit button here. And I want to actually see what scripts here that we didn't do here. You can see there must be a few changes and that image tag that we did there. So I'm going to copy all of this. You could put this into GitHub bot, or you could put this into a PR request. And I'm going to paste that into here. And then I'm just going to go generate. Now watch what it's going to do here. It's actually going to go in and add the code in real time. Let's just wait for it to finish here. And it's going to add the tab indexes in real time. Look at that, tab index 0. And this is the actual form that we've got. And I can actually go in and copy all of that now. The form does have an issue, if you remember that. Oh, let's go and let's go. Okay, there we go. Control C. Just, I want to make sure that we've got everything here. Yeah, we've got everything. I'm going to go back to our page here. Control A, Control V. This is the page that we did before, and it's got all my tab indexes, and it's also got the ARIA label tags, and it also did the language because English, and also all of that. And you can right-click on here, and you go run index.html. Let's bring that down again. There we go. And now if I go and run FastPass here, if I go FastPass, it is not only is it accessible, but it's super accessible. And I can carry on doing that rinse and repeat around that. So I've showed you exactly how to do captions with AI. I've showed you how to use our AI tools with Accessibility Insights, how to use the rules engines to do that, and you can put that into Azure DevOps. I've showed you also how to start with GitHub Copilot, and you can even go with GitHub Copilot here. Check this out. And we want to go, this is my favorite to show people because I hate regex. JavaScript. Let's go JavaScript script function to let's go not function to validate an email address. We hate actually regex. Look at that, and it's got the actual regex there that I can just go tab validate email. And it's got a regex expression. And it's so powerful because it actually reads your screen and gives context of exactly what you want to do with that. And play around with it. Go sign up. It was just launched today for businesses. So get your manager to sign up with it. I've got it on an individual subscription. And let's go back into our PowerPoint here. And let's go and we want to minimize here. Slideshow, too many screens. I actually have 4 screens. And let's go here. And slideshow, we want to go from current slide. Okay, so I showed you the demo, what we did, and it was a bit of a whirlwind demo. I showed you Copilot, OpenAI, Accessibility Insights. Now the challenge for you. I want you to go sign up with ChatGPT 3 and get access to it with your Azure. You can go to aka.ms on ChatGPT 3. And you can follow me on Twitter, on @RawPretty. And that's everything I wanted to show you today. Because it's quick to do that when you have accessibility and AI as your partner. Back to you, Suzanne.
That is really, really impressive. Wow.
You've seen me do the talk before, Suzanne, just with Accessibility Insights. So it was very easy, and I was very keen to show you the change and the evolution that I had with AI on the steps that I took.
Look at how this improved your workflow.
Yeah.
This is really, yeah, it is really good. So one way to check it is using the tools that you've shown, but then going on and pasting your actually web page inside of ChatGPT and asking, hey, can you fix my accessibility for me? And then it just
You could
knows.
also ask GitHub Copilot to create an accessible form for you. You can actually go in there. Now, understand accessibility is it's not really a destination, it's a journey. Because you don't want to go too deep into accessibility. You want to make it that it's WCAG 2.1 compliant. So you can actually make it with all ARIA labels and more than compliance. And that's the novelty that you have to kind of meet. But you can also ask ChatGPT and GPT-3 to conform to a specific standard. You can say, please make it WCAG 2.1 AA compliant. And it will go in, it will understand what you need to do, and then modify the compliance to meet that requirement.
Yeah, so you still, like many things in life, you still need to know what you need to ask.
Yes.
And you need to learn still what is important. How do you make an accessible website? How you include everybody? Because this could also look at the text, right?
It not only looks at the text, but it looks at the context of your files. Now, we are going to bring your own code base. It's up and coming, meaning that you can say, go scan this code base and get context of the code base. Imagine your ERP system or your sales system, you say connect to that REST service. But you don't say connect to the URL, you say connect to the name of the REST service. And it will know exactly what to do, how to connect to that REST service, and just connect to it. And then also, you want to say, make this page accessible. I'll show you something very, very easy. If I can share my screen again with you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so here's my screen here. So I'm going to go into this page here, and I'm going to go into, and to show you that this is live, I'm going to go into Google News. I'm going to choose a news article, something not too bad. Okay, a cyclone. A cyclone page here. And I'm going to go, okay, a cyclone in New Zealand has an issue with the cyclone. Now I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to go, now check this out. This is an incredible thing that most people don't realize. Modify the following URL. Accessible. And you can go generate, and it will scan the actual page and give you, no, we don't want to actually do that. So we want to modify, so we want to go generate the HTML code in the following URL to be accessible. There we go. And it'll actually scan the page externally and give you an accessible version of that actual page. So you can actually say, that page over there, internally or externally, go make it accessible.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. And now get everybody so far that they actually want to do this. And
that you need to sign up. Remember what I said to you? You need to sign up with ChatGPT. You can just go to and sign up, and you can get access like I did there to the Microsoft OpenAI. Now you get security, you get networking, you get trusted models, a lot more than the free preview that everyone is aware of ChatGPT 3.
I don't know about the people watching this, but I know what I'm gonna do as soon as this session is over, and that is get my hands on this, because this looks so promising. So we are already far. What is next?
So it doesn't necessarily learn new kind of information. Remember the model, the regenerative model basically learns from something and then it becomes stagnant. So the next real evolution of AI with accessibility is that it learns new compliance and new standards and then can adjust accordingly and learns with and grows with humans. That's really what the next stage is. And that is called generalized intelligence. That's a generalized intelligence for AI, something that can grow.
That sounds so promising. This is really, really inspiring.
Can I, before I go, I want to say, generate a poem to Suzanne to thank her and the Lowlands community for hosting me, and make the poem in the style of, who's your favorite celebrity?
I don't.
Sean Connery.
Okay,
no, let's say Chris Rock, the actual Chris Rock, the comedian. And here's your poem. Suzanne, you're the queen of the A11y.Lowlands. You made me feel welcome and gave me a hand. You showed me around and answered my questions. Your kindness and hospitality was more than I expected. Your community is so friendly and full of knowledge. It's been a great experience. I'm so glad I came. The conversations and connections I made were invaluable. Thanks for the chance to learn and to share. You're an inspiration and a leader in this space. Your work to make the world more accessible is truly great. You've made a huge difference, and we all appreciate it. Thank you, Suzanne, for what that you do. But that's in Chris Rock. We can also do Donald J. Trump. Make it into the style and voice of Donald J. Trump. So here, like literally, I could be on this site there. And it's changed now.
Yeah. This is scary. Will we be needed? Will we be needed?
But thank you for hosting me today. I hope this has been a little bit of an eye-opener. Sign up for the OpenAI Studio and everything. Get the Accessibility Insights, if you remember there. That's free, the accessibilityinsights.io. And there's so much more in Accessibility Insights. You actually get tab indexes here, assessment, ad hoc tools. I can switch color on and off. I can do tab stops. So if I go tab stops here, I can actually go in there and see exactly what the tab stops are. And I work hand in hand with the accessibility team at Microsoft to make sure that I advocate the best tools and use those best tools to help people and empower people around the world.
Amazing. Yeah, I already was running it on my own website. I have some work to do. But I know an AI which can help me with that. It has been a pleasure. It always is, Rory. We haven't talked in a little while, and look at where we are now. It is really exciting. It excites me for the future. So yeah, thank you for being here, and I hope to talk to you again. Maybe not in a year, but at some point, and discuss the progress that we've made to make the world a better place a little bit. Thank you, Rory.
Thanks everyone.
So for the viewers at home, we will be back next month. I think the topic will be mental health and neurodiversity. So keep an eye on the socials and on the website, and we hope to see you next month again.